Hey there, if you don't know who I am, my name is Craig Campbell. I'm a comedian that lives in Devon. I'm originally from Canada, and I'm embarking, well, right now on a tour with the Lumberjacks, you may have heard of. Perhaps Stuart Francis or Glenn Wool is somewhere in your mind. A couple of other Canadian comedians, and after our tour, which ends on the 2nd of November, I start my own tour, the Thrilling Mike Hunt Tour. That's the 7th of November until the, I think, 3rd or 4th or 5th of December. And then I've got a little bit of time off faffing about in December. I think some shows in the Alps. Teen is one that comes to mind for ski and snowboard enthusiasts. And then on January 1st, I embark on the 6th annual Snowed In Comedy Tour. We're now a 5-week tour starting in the west coast of Canada and ending on the west coast of Canada. It's a ski snowboard resort tour. It lasts the 5 weeks until the second week of February. And then we come back to Europe and do some shows in the Alps, Switzerland, France, into Austria, and then I have about 3 weeks in Norway, ending this season in Iceland with a week of shows out there. And that's Snowed In Comedy Europe. So we're pretty thrilled to be bringing that across the world now. Then there's the Meyerhofen Snowbombing Festival. That's Altitude Comedy up there in Meyerhofen, Austria. That's the 25th of March, I think, until the 1st of April. And then we have more dates from the Thrilling Mike Hunt Tour. That goes up until around Glastonbury time next June, unbelievably. Then we've got festival shows, all the normal fun stuff that goes on in the UK through the summer, and then of course the crowning glory of all, Edinburgh, the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. I'll be up there with the Stand Comedy Club and the Assembly Rooms, and that dovetails nicely into more shows with the Lumberjacks. But this time we go all the way to Nepal and attempt the highest ever comedy show in the world at the base camp of Everest, and that's in September next year. So I put that out there to anybody if you're interested. One of the reasons I'm telling you about it, not just to crow about my own interests, is because it's a charity event. It's for Save the Children, and we are also looking for an audience. So if anybody out there is seeing this, I don't know where it goes to in the world, but wherever you are, if you're interested in coming to Nepal, that's September 2014, enjoying a comedy show, enjoying a nice hike. I think it's about a 3-week hike into the base camp, and doing some help in the world for some children. You can look that up on Stand Up on Everest, and that's you search that on Google, and that's a pretty easy thing to find. Or you can get in touch with me at moosefucker.com, and I will give you all the details, or perhaps follow me on Twitter at moosefucker. That's right, you're starting to notice a through line here, and I'd be thrilled to give you any info that you wanted for that. That's pretty much my life as it is now. Essentially, I very recently have become a bit of an electrified fence expert there in living in Devon. Not overly familiar with them with a Canadian background, as in Canada we normally get away with a barbed wire fence. But in the UK they enjoy, I guess in their understated terms, sparking the animal. And I was on my way down for a nice little river swim. This is in late June, early July, and just fresh off the Glastonbury Festival, just fresh off of pureeing my proximal phalanx here, this bone in France. So I was a little bit injured, but I was very much looking forward to exercising my injury in a river during a heat wave. Traipsed through a wonderful wood trail, pine trees, nearly reminiscent of Canada for a guy living in Devon. Pretty lucky. Down to a nice country lane, bit of blackberry bush on each side. Pluck a couple of blackberries all the way down. Enjoying my day, essentially, in a way that you do when the sun is high in the sky in England, which it rarely is. Got down to a farmer's field, very lush field, and we were prohibited from continuing by a little fence there. Well, not even a fence, a little string. And my girlfriend's from the area, from Devon, from the area that we live in now, and she's very familiar with electric fences. I, of course, very new to them. She's also very familiar with this particular electric fence and the farmer who's responsible for it. She, in fact, informs me that he's known for his fences, for the quality of his fences. And if you don't know what the range of quality of an electric fence could be, a quick up to speed is that often a lot of farmers will just use like a beat up old car battery or something they found, in an old beast laying in the yard. Or other farmers, as in this particular farmer's case, oddly named farmer, his last name, so it's a farmer who is a farmer. He draws the power for his electric fences straight out of the mains. I don't even know if this is legal, and I don't know if this involves like climbing a pole, but regardless, that's where the power comes from. And obviously it's amplified over what you'd expect from a 12-volt beat-up car battery that's been sitting in the rain, usually for years. So my girlfriend, not loathing me from the heart, but probably enjoying seeing me in pain at various times in my life, she recommends that we crawl under it. This is her point to me. Now, bear in mind, I'm able-bodied, bar my big bandaged hand, and I'm not one to crawl in general. Not a big fan of crawling. I don't know how you feel out there, but I feel it's a tiny bit demeaning. I state that unequivocally to her. I make the point that I'm not going to be crawling around in the dirt because some guy has built his little fence there. Again, I'm not in any way knowledgeable in how powerful a jolt could come from an electric fence. So I haven't really turned the corner of being fearful of being electrocuted. So I'm still coming from that kind of guy point of view that even if I get electrocuted, I'll power through this. Not realizing really what I'm in for. And I go to direct eye contact with my girlfriend, who has warned me about the fence and told me to crawl under it. I go to straddle the fence. I go and throw one leg over the top of it, and of course the line comes straight up under my shorts against my thigh and closes the circuit with my little I say little dangly bits, my now ground wire. And I don't know if you've ever electrocuted your private parts. I find it sometimes hard. I think sometimes, it might not be an incapable thing for the opposite gender to take on board, but I often suggest that perhaps some of the ladies out there may have inadvertently caught their flap, left or right, on a curling iron, maybe at some point in your life. If you can relate to that in some way. Anyway, I went rictus. I went straight into probably in the shape of a lightning bolt. I couldn't actually see myself, but I was stopped in place, and for a good number of seconds didn't know what to do next. I didn't want to make it worse, but it was clearly the worst thing I'd ever experienced in my life till that point. And I don't know if you know what you would do in the same situation, but I thought, hey, as long as I'm here being electrocuted, I'm in utter agony through my private parts, why don't I roll around in the nettles for 20 minutes? See if that doesn't help things. So I, at the point that my nervous system was in full revolt, I was overloading it with nettle stings. At no point realizing that was going on. I was just writhing around thinking that the pain I was in was still to do with the fence, not realizing that things were just getting worse in my day. And I can only, in my own defense, say still went swimming. So a few days after the electrocuted penis incident, we decide, hey, why don't we go for another swim? Why not? We're here, the sun's out, beautiful. So we decide to head down the exact same trail. Why not take the direct route to the river, go through the same wood, get onto the same laneway, arrive at the same farmer's field. In fact, we're standing in the same footprints that we were several days previous. And my girlfriend, of course, having a sense of humor, as most do in these parts of the world, she changed her tone slightly, but once again informed me that we were looking at the electric fence that had caused me so much grief earlier. And she, once again, somewhat with a heavier inflection, recommended that we crawl under it, as I had recommended the first time, she said. She repeated herself. I, of course, taking somewhat umbrage with being treated like a child, thought, well, she may be looking at a man with an injured finger. She may be looking at a man with an electrocuted penis, with an all-body nettle rash. but she's underestimating what it takes for me to crawl under a fence. So I thought, well, I'll impress her this time. Rather than embarrassing myself, I'll actually prove to her how strong my legs are. I've been cycling a lot, I've been hiking a lot, might have had an injured finger, but the rest of me felt very strong. And I went to impress her with a 2-foot, 2-leg standing jump over the electric fence. Cleared the fence, of course, but didn't check on the grass on the other side. And previous to the heat wave, we've had pretty muddy weather, and the field, of course, is filled with cows. And in the mud, the cows had left their footprints, and then, of course, the heat wave had come and petrified their prints in various uncomfortable and awkward positions, which, when I landed on the other side of the fence, forced my right ankle into such an obtuse rollover that I heard it. I think I heard the echo, actually, rather than the actual snap of the ankle, but I heard an audible snap, and I think people out there can relate to hearing the inside of your body. It's a very surreal experience to think, wow, that corresponding feeling that my nervous system just gave me is in tune with the sound that my ear just took in. I think I just heard my ankle actually snap. It was either that or somebody had run up behind me and fired off a revolver behind my ear. So I had that little moment of thinking, wow, I am actually gone from a beautiful day where I'm heading for a swim on a spectacular bit of countryside to the realization that I have really, really badly hurt myself. Look down at my leg, and of course, immediate ballooning up. The thing's half the size of my head. I even then tried to overcome it by thinking, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it'll get better really quickly. And then, of course, I puked and passed out. So there you are. You're throwing your vomit all over the beautiful grass, and I'm semi-conscious at this point, and I wake up to my girlfriend now screaming at me. I don't know if you've had this, men, but you never listen to me. What is wrong with you? Why don't you listen? Look at you now. I tried to warn you twice now. And then somewhere in the middle of that rant, she went for a swim. So now I'm laying there alone. She's gone for her swim. I muster up the ability to half crawl, half hobble back to the house, up quite a steep hill for probably 15-20 minutes, get myself into our car, drive myself to the hospital in Taunton. It's only 12 miles away, but probably takes about 20 minutes to get there. Now, on a beautiful day, rather than swimming, I'm in a pay parkade trying to find the accident and emergency. I finally hobble my way in there. As I'm moving, I'm realizing that, of course, it's quite a bit worse even than it felt in the field. I finally get into A&E. I'm waiting there to be seen. Maybe an hour later, I get in, go in for some x-rays, get the x-rays done, and perfect timing. It couldn't have been better. As soon as the x-rays arrive, my phone goes off. Of course, there's a big sign, you're in the x-ray department, you're not supposed to answer your phone or have it on, but I'm, of course, like everybody else there, a dick, and pick up my phone, and my girlfriend informs me from the side of a sunny riverbank that she's called Martin Farmer the farmer and has found out that indeed, on this particular glorious day, the fence was not on. We'll talk about being a comic, which some people may not be familiar with, but I'm in a pretty, it's a pretty wild world that we're now, able to enjoy. I was sort of marveling yesterday, well, I was marveling, not sort of marveling, that I was in Kettering, which is the home of my only English grandparent. I've got, as per normal, 4 grandparents, 1 Canadian, 2 Scottish, and 1 English, and my grandmother was from Kettering, or that area. And it's pretty depressed. I had dinner in Kettering last night, and it was the audience was impressed that I mistook it for a zombie movie set because they were probably thinking, God, this is a zombie movie set. Why hasn't somebody mentioned it? And so we kind of had that bonding, but at the same time, it seems odd to me that after so many years, my grandmother probably not leaving under the best circumstances from Kettering area in like the teens of the last century, 1920s, that kind of area, to now, her grandchild is returning to Kettering as an import businessman comedian, which is, for me, the kind of, it's so bizarre that these sort of disenfranchised areas of the UK are, I'm traveling into town to receive a paycheck. It's utterly bizarre that like you're actually profiting from a place that could probably better use the money that they're spending to see your show to like, build a bus shelter or a homeless shelter or a tent for strangers just to, meet and have tea in. And that's it, for me is kind of the thing that's most, as you're riding back to a place like Devon on a 3-hour night ride and, what bounces around in your helmet is just how, strange things are. That's the full circle of where we're at. But regardless, I'm not gonna lament that. It's just really, it strikes me strange that, many now comedians from the colonies, including the two guys that I'm working with on this lumberjack tour, are back in the homeland, as it were, the old country, and not just here, but here and receiving some accolade for it and really enjoying it and living an enviable life. And that's, it's really it's kind of a mixture of emotions, because obviously that's not the case with many people in the world in general, but certainly in first world countries and places like England, Wales, Scotland, where things are probably for a lot of people pretty tough. And it just strikes me really strange that somebody from so far away from a place like Canada can be here telling jokes and be sort of invited to so many illustrious locations like Kettering to do so. I've been to all of them, Sunderland, you name it. You put it on the map. Preston, of course, I do shows in all the hot spots. But there's a need for it and a want for it here, and it's something that I don't know if it's so much missing at home, but it's certainly missing to a degree that we're here. And it's spectacular. It's like, you got a normal comedy world where the last time, for example, that I'd be playing a place like the Glee here in Cardiff would be to do an ensemble show. This is like previous to when I began touring on my own. I would still come to somewhere like the Glee just to do your own show. But prior to that, you would do a show at the Glee on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes not the Thursday, sometimes not 2 shows on the Saturday, with 3 or 4 other comedians. And that's not something that you choose. That's, you put your name in the hat and you're given that weekend, and then you're brought together with those other acts. And when you get to the green room, bar anybody being replaced short notice, you just meet them and hope that you get along with everybody. And now we're in this tremendous place where you've got a couple of buddies that call each other up and decide to do a tour, already get along marvelously, have a ride in each other's company, though. Like, still, in fact, strange to me that we're now into the second set of tour dates with the Lumberjacks, and like, arrived last night in Kettering and left 2 hours later laughing the entire time. Everything shy of actually being on the stage talking to the audience was just like in a small room with 2 incredibly funny human beings winding each other up and finishing each other's jokes and being, peas in a pod, which is like, I'm sure anybody watching this would know that's a rare thing in life, like in friendships. That's a rare thing, let alone in, like, these are my workmates. These are people that I can, this is my office. This is as bad as my life gets, having to go to a place and like have professional comedians entertain me for an hour and a half in the time that I'm there for 2 hours, and the other half hour I'm actually on the stage making other people laugh. And then I say a bunch of happy goodbyes and drive off and see you tomorrow night in Cardiff. And that's a really I still very much can't believe that they wanted to do the tour again, being that we first did it in Edinburgh in 97, 98, when it was first brought about that we could possibly reprise it and tour it again. I'm still thinking, geez, I can't even believe these guys want to have lunch with me still, let alone like to put together now a couple of years of dates ahead of ourselves. And I think that's, for my world, that's the one of the most beautiful things about it, is that you're you're able to plan your own happiness, and your success and your happiness seem to be coinciding. And it's what I guess as I get older, it's funny, probably the strangest sensation I've had in the last few years is I really didn't realize how many people that I knew from 20 years ago I'd still be working with. That's what has really most caught me off guard. You know, to be asked, really a good, you know, launch point for my life was 2009 when Frankie Boyle called me out of the blue to ask me to do an opening spot on his 120 date, you know, massive tour across the UK. And it's still for me, that was a surreal phone call. It was like telephone tag about 20 times back and forth because we're both quite busy and neither of us answer our phones. So he like left a message, and for me that's something like, you know, I've known Frankie since like '94 in Scotland and been friends, but he's of course, you know, he's a superstar. So you don't, like, you know, when your friends are superstars, you know, yes, I on the television the other day, I'm in Watford, I'll talk to you later. You know, you call them when you know, should, rather than just because you're lonely on a Tuesday. And so when Frankie calls me, it's always a bit, you know, he's one of those guys, he doesn't spend a lot of time just kibitzing on the phone. So I thought, why does he want me to call him back? And called him back, and of course he doesn't pick up his phone. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just returning your call. And then he calls back and leaves another message. And then like fourth time of doing that, he's just like, look, this is going to take forever. Anyway, just want to know if you want to open for me on my upcoming tour, let me know. And it was just one of those, like, you know, I didn't realize, but that changed my life. That introduced me to, in a live venue setting, to about 750,000 people minimum, but even more than that, 750,000 people who have the gumption and the interest and the enjoyment for comedy to want to leave their homes, not just lay on a couch at 4 a.m. and happen to catch you with one eye open full of beer watching Dave or something like that. People, not that those people don't deserve to enjoy comedy, but they're very unlikely to get online and find out where your gig is and then, you know, drive 3 counties away to go and enjoy it. But people who are already in a theater watching you are, you know, they're people who are functional comedian fans, and they'll actually, as I had last night with my front row in Kettering, people that have seen me probably easily 5 times in many different settings around the Midlands, and will actually drive and come and see you. So all of a sudden I've got this wonderful kind of pool of people who, if I put my name out, will actually come and see me. And that was, again, that's like, you know, 2009, 2010. And since then, it's just really been working with your buddies, either in unbelievable places like ski resorts, ski hills, or festivals, or being on tour with your buddies in really, really nice venues with, you know, with really nice audiences. And I, if there's anything, it's probably made me horribly soft, because you're just dealing with people who like you already. You know, you're used to kind of, comedy used to be a 2 a.m. kind of bear pit, you know, people that didn't know who you were, didn't really care who you are, which is fair enough. I think that's probably you know, the healthiest position to have with fellow humans, with strange humans. Who cares? You know, like you have the sort of dedication of courtesy, being part of society. You know, you want to be as accommodating for people you don't know as possible, but actually, you know, I think the kind of temple of celebrity is a bit odd anyway, so that, you know, people would actually do more for somebody who they know from television is a bit tedious. But regardless, comedy used to be just a place where you were just a dick on the stage in a dark room full of drunk people, and you had to work pretty damn hard to make them laugh. But now it's just like, you know, middle class people who have turned your evening into a night out and had a dinner at a Nando's and have driven their Volvo from 3 hours away, and now they're just like, oh, there he is, we like him, and now he's here in the room with us. Isn't this nice? This is 8 months of planning come off very well, honey. Thank you, my favorite anniversary. You know, these are the kind of people now that you're like having to try and startle with humor, which you know, it's not. I'm not in the trenches anymore, which is probably the only thing I lament right now.